asked Country Club Hill, Illinois, is it permissible to put other books on top of the Muslim?
Questions from Country Clubs, Illinois. Is it permissible to put other books on top of the Mus'haf? Stay away from it. If you don't have to, don't. Don't do it. If you don't need to, don't do it. Is it haram? Can we say that's haram? It's an Islamic book. That book also contains Allah's names and attributes. I can't say that it's haram. But it's best not to do if you don't have to do it. It's the best thing to do. Out of respect for the Mus'haf, inshallah. Wallahu alam. Fadda. Can you give a Mus'haf to a non-Muslim for binding when it becomes very old? In brief, I would say as long as the non-Muslim will respect it, won't desecrate it, then it's not necessarily haram. That's what I would say in brief. Many scholars, if not most of them, hold the view that no one can touch the Mus'haf unless they're upon tahara. And la yamassan Qur'ana illa tahirun, the narration says. La yamassuhu illa al-mutahharun. So those scholars, they hold the view that a Muslim cannot touch the Mus'haf without wudu. If that's a Muslim, then of course the kafir min bab awla is even more. So based off of that ruling, they would say no. Also, we have the concept of أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم نهى أن يسافر القرآن إلى أرض العدو. The hadith that says that the Prophet forbade for the Quran to be taken to the lands of the enemy. Obviously, can we apply that today? Living in the kuffar, have access to it in any bookstore, buy online, etc. Back then, things were different. Them desecrating it, them taking it, doing this, so on and so forth. All right? So, in brief, I would say as long as those conditions are met, la best. If you can find a Muslim to bind it, perhaps that's best. Wallahu alam.
Initials IH Staten Island, New York. Assalamu alaikum, Mufti. May Allah preserve you. Advice if we intend to go to Hajj. Many are showing concerns of the coronavirus and suggesting that we should not go.
Tayyib. Put your trust in Allah. Put your trust in Allah. You have the money to make Hajj. You saved up. You have time off of work. Things are good with your family, your wife, your children. Make the Hajj. Put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Make dua for Allah to protect you. The scholars of Islam have explained with regards to the coronavirus, with regards to some years back, it was the swine flu. And there are other illnesses, diseases, infections, etc. that have come. And those ulama and those muftis have said the Hajj still remains. And a person refusing to make Hajj, even though it's obligatory upon them in time to do it, based off of this sickness or this illness, they say it's from weak iman and low tawakkul. Weak iman and low tawakkul. If the coronavirus is true, Allahu alam, if it's real, you traveling to the country, the village where it comes from is one thing versus you going to the Holy Lands. Wallahu alam.
Initials M Island, UK. Is there such thing as collateral damage when jihad is implemented? And is it correct to say that jihad is not relevant to the Muslims in the West?
Tayyib. Question regarding collateral damage in jihad fi sabilillah. And is it correct to say that jihad is not relevant living to the Muslims in the world or the West? What did you say? Tayyib. Tayyib. Please forgive us for moving on to the next question. Inshallah ta'ala. We'll move on to the next question, inshallah.
Initials AD, UK. Do you have to recite Surah Fatiha after the Imam finishes the Fatiha?
Excuse me?
Do you have to recite Surah Fatiha after the Imam finishes the Fatiha?
Do you have to recite the Fatiha after the Imam finishes the... I would say, if you're making the Salah and the Imam is reciting out loud in Maghrib or Eid or Jum'ah, keep silent and listen to the recitation of the Imam. Wallahu alam.
This is MI Birmingham, UK. How do we reconcile between Allah punishing the Ummah for sins and Allah giving victory to the Ummah through the people of innovation despite them sinning?
Tayyib.
Here, for example, Salahuddin was...
Clear. Crystal clear. Tayyib. As far as the previous question, is there collateral damage concerning jihad fi sabilillah, etc.? Along with this question, how do we reconcile between the Muslims saying the Muslims are sinners, Allah is going to punish them, they can't fight, they can't do this, so on and so on and so forth. طيب. على كل الجهاد في سبيل الله, as we know, is something that's mentioned in the Quran and the Sunnah abundantly. Not a verse or a hadith, abundantly. From beginning to end, abundantly. From the first juz in Surah Al-Baqarah, second juz, third juz, okay, we go on and on and on. The beginning of the Mus'haf, we can say that for sure. Whether it's the first juz or not. To juz amma, something mentioned abundantly. So if it's mentioned abundantly in the Quran and the Sunnah, in different styles, different ways, the obligation, the command, the praise, the virtue, the excellence, the martyrs, the punishment of not doing it, so on and so on and so forth, then it's impossible for it to be false. And it's impossible for it to be something which just can fade away and become obsolete and outdated and mansukh. Wal'iyadhu billah. Time, place, situation, circumstance, so on and so forth. But for a person to think and feel and say, there is no benefit, there's no in this age, it can't be, that's extremely disrespectful to Allah and His Messenger. Extremely disrespectful to the Quran and Sunnah. If you're scared, if you're afraid, if you feel this or feel that, that's fine. But don't legitimize it. Don't Islamify your cowardice. Don't Islamify your greed for worldly material and gain and your fear of the harm of the kuffar or Muslims or people who have apostated, whoever they are. All right? That's first and foremost. So therefore, it's something that was praised by Allah and His Messenger, and it will remain praiseworthy by Allah and His Messenger and the true believers. And the true believers. This has nothing to do with the specifics of the details, this country, these people, this group, etc. Because that's a discussion. But the concept can never, ever, ever, ever change. And unfortunately, among many Muslims or people who say they're Muslims today, as if it's changing or as if it's been changed. There is no such and such. There can't be no such and such. And of course, this is a trick of shaitan and a trap of shaitan. He causes the people's actions to blame and censure the system. Because brothers abuse polygamy, they don't do the right thing, it should be no what? No polygamy. That was for the Prophet ﷺ time. Sahaba. That's a huge problem. Allah and His Messenger didn't mention it like that. It's not in the Quran mentioned for a time where it doesn't state that. All right? So if someone does something wrong or something that you feel is wrong, or a country says, or a mufti says, or a sheikh says, it does not mean that it does what? Totally removes it from the Quran and Sunnah. All right? As far as collateral damage, lives being lost, innocent people, quote unquote, whoever is innocent, civilians, non-combatants, etc., then those are details. Details that we won't mention right now. Details that we what? We won't mention them right now for reasons, for Islamic reasons. We will not mention them right now. All right? At the end of the day, studying al-jihadu fi sabilillah, you have the proper sources, you have the proper places, and you have the improper sources and the what? And the improper places. All right? That's all I'll say about that with regards to that right now. Khairan, inshallah. What was the other question?
How do we reconcile between Allah punishing the Ummah for sins and
Okay, Allah punishing the Ummah for sins, etc. That's a huge problem that we have today. People, they say, well, there can't be no this because the Muslims are doing this. And the Muslims are fighting, and the Muslims have been fighting for how long now? They're not wars, weren't there not wars? And that didn't stop the other Muslims from what? Doing what? What they felt that they needed to do. There were sins committed in this time and that time, this zani, this drunkard, and that didn't stop them from what? Doing what they needed to do. The scale of corruption, of course. The scale of weakness, of separation, of ignorance, of course. But to remove something from the Quran and the Sunnah because of what people are doing, that's a problem. All right? Next point is, many people, they use shameless or shameful propaganda. There is no jihad fi sabilillah because of the people of innovations. The people of innovations, that's why. It's bid'ah, that's why. It's bid'ah that way. Then, obviously, they find a huge problem when they find not small, but major victories, conquests, huge battles that were fought, waged, and won by people of... There's a problem. So if you have an issue with your sum, maybe you need to go back to what? Huh? To your addition. Maybe you need to go back to your numbers. If the number keeps adding up wrong, 2 plus 2 equals 6, 0, maybe you need to go back and figure out your calculator. Something isn't wrong. From the ways of Allah giving victory is this, no question. From the reasons behind people being defeated and forsaken is them, that no question. But to say that now removes it, because this innovation is sin, obviously you're going to have a huge problem with history. And not small issues, not small battles. We're talking about what? Major conquests. Futuhat, arida. Huh? Major conquests. Before and after Salah ad-Din Ayyubi. Don't think that it just starts or stops there. That's another problem. Before or after Salah ad-Din Ayyubi. A very important piece of advice is to be careful of propaganda from whoever it comes from, Muslim or non-Muslims. The non-Muslims in general have respect for Saladin. Many of them romanticized him. They loved him. His life story was sensational, fantastic. So they approved him. We'll mention Saladin. Saladin the Great. Saladin the Clement. Saladin the this. The Battle of Hattin. So on and so on and so forth. But there were great commanders and brave warriors, what? Before Salah ad-Din and what? After Salah ad-Din. But they don't mention them and bring them up because they didn't approve of them. So don't begin your search and don't end your search. Don't stop at Salah ad-Din Ayyubi and the others who were Ash'ari or Maturidi or this issue and that issue. That's another trick of shaitan. Who they validate. And they say, oh, he was a good guy. What? Then he's a good guy. All right? What's important is al-jihadu fi sabilillah is a ruling of Allah and His Messenger. And it is conducted and carried out according to the rulings of Allah and His Messenger. And there's no one's place, not mine or yours or his or hers, to approve, disapprove, validate, invalidate, accept, reject. Abadan. That's the bottom line, huh? Wallahu ta'ala alam.
Okay, Ava in the UK. For sisters, what are some red flags to look out for and a potential for marriage?
For sisters?
For sisters.
What are red flags?
Yeah.
There could be many red flags. Many. One red flag, a brother is totally unknown. No one knows him. Not a specific group or masjid or dawah center or a website, but nobody knows him. Nobody. Just popped out of thin air. It's not like I took my shahada yesterday. That's different. I've been Muslim for 5 years, 10 years. No one knows you, no city, no masjid, nothing. It's a huge red flag. Another red flag, and Allah Azza wa Jalla surely knows best. Let's see. There's so many. If I was a sister, what would be a red flag? It depends on what you're looking for. Wallah, it depends. Wallahu alam.
This was JL, Atlanta, Georgia. How prevalent do you believe magic is? Do you believe magic to be in everyday American life?
How prevalent do you believe magic to be in everyday American life? Highly prevalent. Maybe one could say on a scale that has never been before. Wallahu alam.
Initial M. Island, UK. Which of your videos would you recommend we show to a non-Muslim relative to help them come to Islam?
Non-Muslim relative, which video would you recommend to show them? It depends on the relative. You may say any video. Depending on the circumstance. They may, Allahu alam, say, oh wow, why this guy is really young. Or he has a lot of videos. Or I like the way he speaks. I like the way he talks. Or the way he breaks things down. It's so on and so forth. It depends on a non-Muslim. But if you're looking for something specific, women's videos, beauties of Islam, a clip from this khutbah that talk about this beauty, this virtue, the correct understanding of this thing, there's so many different ways that you can attack it. You have to base it off of the non-Muslim. What is that non-Muslim into? Let's say the non-Muslim is a person that likes to speak and talk. Say, oh, check, this is the teacher I like to listen to. And they may say, I like the way he talks. I like he's such and such. Or I saw him doing this. I like the 5 minutes of faida. He's in a plane or a boat or, you see what I'm saying to you? Allahu alam. Allahu alam. Fadl Abdul Wadud.
Set me up. Listen, how does one practice right hand position in 2020?
Next question.
Oh,
No more questions. Sallallahu sallam wa barak ala abdihi wa rasulihi nabina wa imamina Muhammad.